The captain saw that there was no movement below, so he drew lots to decide who would go down to check. Nick, the strongest man on board, drew the winning lot, but at that time whoever had the biggest fists was the boss on the ship, so now everyone agreed that the captain was the best person to go down. David, who had been betrayed by his subordinates, had no choice but to put on a calm face and walk into the warehouse, but as soon as he got down, the big crab suddenly pounced out of the darkness. David saw this and ran out, but it seemed that the giant crab just wanted to scare him. It quickly retreated. David said he could take it with him, but the giant crab couldn't eat him, and he would have full command of the ship. Then he asked the giant crab to spit out the meat it hadn't finished digesting. He found a key inside, and returned to the deck. He quickly used the key to open the box, and took out a handgun. In an instant the leader's position changed again. He told the sailors about the giant crab's purpose, but there was a problem. How to keep the giant crab calm and prevent it from harming anyone. During the journey to Huwaiting Island, the next moment, David turned his gaze to Nick, who had the most meat. Thus Nick became the first sacrifice. Then David called all the crew members to discuss a strategy. The journey to Huwaiting Island was actually not far, but the island was home to many civilians. If they went there, the people would definitely be eaten to the last one. Then David mentioned another option: relocate the giant crab to another uninhabited island. Seeing no response from the others, David initiated an anonymous vote. The results came out quickly. Before counting the votes, David addressed the group, revealing that he had secretly marked the ballots, so he knew how everyone had voted. Surprisingly, 2 cowards had chosen to let the civilians on the island die. Upon hearing this, the sailors seemed visibly uneasy. Then David took out his gun and fired. The 2 men naturally became the second sacrifices, but soon the giant crab was hungry again. David hurried down to check the situation. At that moment he saw a large group of baby crabs on the floor. David reassured the giant crab, saying they would soon arrive at Huwaiting Island, and then return to the deck. But by then they had already passed Huwaiting Island. By midnight, the crew members armed themselves and entered David's room. They attacked David, who was sleeping on the ship, with wild fury, but at that moment, David appeared behind them. Only Tony, who dared not participate, survived. At that moment David suddenly said to Tony, "During the vote earlier I actually didn't mark anything." Then he pushed Tony overboard.
Every one of you made an